Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
Oh, you girl, there's just not enough love in the world. Ain't that for sure? Certainly not enough love in the world. But what do we have in the world? You already know where you're at. You're on the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. I'm Eric Hellberg, your host. And what we have is an abundance of chaos. And the more and more we hear about it, how could anyone truly be comfortable unless we insulate and or isolate ourselves from the world at large? I don't believe any one of us on this show is a hermit. We may have a bit of and or a few survivalists in our audience. Hey, I'm cool with that. But even if you're living off the land and out of the way, my guess is you still go into some town from time to time, right? We have a cabin up in New Mexico, and I'm a veteran. I've met some veterans up there, and there's kind of a community over there that have, they're fed up, and they're doing their thing. Excuse me. And but I see all those boys in town when we're up there, and they're cool as beans, and we're talking stuff and having coffee, and heck, they're walking their dogs through town, and we're having a good time. But the world's in chaos, and I'm gonna tell you right now, when we're talking about comfortable in chaos, I am just talking about your internal and your immediate external environment, the best you can control it, because what we are contending with around this globe, there's no comfort there. That is wars, rumors of wars, famine. Famine's been going on for all of my lifetime. You just don't hear about it. I mean, look at the continent of Africa. So earthquakes, rapidly emerging technology. What does that all mean? What have you heard? What do you believe? All I can tell you is that we are in one hell of a mess. So we don't need any rumors of war. We've got a gig going on in Ukraine. Can't seem to get our hands off of that. But buddy, we've got a full-blown Russian bear over there. You've heard me talk about Russians before. That ain't no joke. Like the old Chicago song said, on that deal, I say we just look away, baby, look away. Now what happened? Hamas decided to desecrate their enemy in Israel. Not only that, we have footage that we've seen. I mean, they're taking the elderly, slaughtering them, kids slaughtering them, targeting women on both those counts, abducting them. We talk about 9/11 here in the country. You realize Israel, the state of Israel, is roughly the size of New York City in population density. Therefore, if we now know that approximately 600 people have been killed, we're not talking wounded, abducted, but killed, KIA, that would be the equivalent for our population here in the United States of approximately 300 million. Per capita, 600 Israelis dead, that would be 24,000 dead here in America. 24,000. This is absolutely nuts. So it's almost like we have to top disaster with disaster to get some news interplay from our wonderful broadcasting networks. And hell, I was just coming to grips with Lahaina and Maui. We don't even hear about that anymore. Of course, I saw The Rock, and yeah, my son's a big fan of The Rock. He buys all of his specialty Under Armour gear. Some with his own money from a job he has from our neighbor across the street. Some a little bit funded from mom and dad. But I told him a while back, I'm like, hey, dude, I ain't no Dwayne The Rock Johnson fan. And something ain't just jiving with me. And, of course, The Rock and Oprah, they fell short. They have it all, supposedly, at least monetarily. And then they're going to call upon people in a total plight, undergoing destruction, and they're asking for people to send money to them and or their fund. But the only people who can actually send money in that regard and make a difference are probably already on their A-list. These are the people that they interface with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. They could do that with their numbers that are already embedded in their own private phones or through their other peers and friends. But they're going to solicit it from the general public, most of which who are struggling? Very curious indeed. I've heard of some other peculiarities. Peculiarities. It's a tough word to say. Did you know the police chief there in Lahaina was the very same one that was in Las Vegas at the time that they had the shootout from the MGM Grand? Not the shootout, but the guy fired. He was the high roller, purportedly, that they kept bringing back and forth into the casino. Evidently staged the area over weeks period of time, and then I think he gunned down 50 plus people, wounded countless others. The water system was shut down at the time of the fire. All the islands of Hawaii, by their nature, since they are islands and they have to contend with seas and winds, have an extensive emergency warning PA intercom system throughout the islands. They didn't make a peep. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, only to get you guys to think. And then it would be perfectly plausible and normal to feel chaotic. Is it by design? Is it just simply because we believe in the good Lord, we know the direction this world is going, and we're just supposed to stand fast, dig deep, and push against the evil as long as we can until we break and or are gone? This I don't know, man, but this is what we are talking about. All these ruses, all these stories. It reminds me back to a time in the not-so-distant past. I was sent out while I was working in a preponderance of accounts in California. And I ended up in San Bernardino. I had to visit with this Syrian family that were in the trucking business. And all the telltale signs I was seeing showed me as I was completing my casework so I could strategically place my efforts, know where to look for this equipment, which I later found in the greater LA basin, not around San Bernardino or in San Bernardino County. But I was getting a different feel for this case, and I was starting to interpret it as that this trucking enterprise wasn't solely focused on delivering a good trucking operation and or the products that they carried, but may be construed as a good conduit for other resources coming in, whereby that helped to legitimize it. And lo and behold, as I dug deeper and I was having to put this community and the people closer and closer, one person meeting at a time, I found out, and the trucking company bore the name of what was to occur, and I was told that one of the members worked for San Bernardino County, same name, one works there, although the county has a lot of employees. But I went back to my client. It was GE. Said, man, I don't know why your salespeople and/or the dealer, your F&I people put this deal together. It's a bad deal. And I think I will find your equipment. It will be laborious. It will be cost intensive. And I put some different cost on the table because I knew I wasn't going after the average bear. And so some emails went back and forth. I was told I was a naughty boy, shouldn't make any type of references like that. And I think they denied all that. Although I think there were 6 pieces. I did end up getting 4 or 5. That goes some time back. But long story short, I completed all my work. A lot of that stuff is lingering. Of course, equipment goes all over the country. You have to have the ability to bring it back to you and or pick it up wherever it is. Your timing has to be impeccable. So does your information. And so I finished those accounts from afar with the network that I had put together. But I come home back to Texas. 8 days later, what happened at the San Bernardino County complex? Husband and wife, purportedly radicalized, had went to Saudi, gotten a quick case study in Wahhabism, came back and shot up the whole place. 14 instantly dead, countless wounded. And I'm like, I was on to something. Why wasn't anyone else who is in the business of protecting us on to something? And I think a lot of us are wondering that. Who in the heck is watching out for the common and or the average man? And what is it that we have to do to get their attention? So many places to go here, men. And I know you're all scratching your head. I know this strikes a chord with you. We're all at a loss. How do we simply, as I mentioned before, stand fast, keep our sanity, look after our loved ones? Dare I say, prosper in this world? It's sounding like a much more enormous task day by day. We'll get back to that, and let's go further. I just wanted to drop a few seeds. Let's see if some birds can sweep down and get them. So until next time, on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock.
Until next time, like and subscribe to the Comfortable in Chaos podcast.